Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have an almost supernatural control over their surroundings without saying a single word? They don't shout, they don't beg, they simply step away, and suddenly everything changes. The energy of the place shifts. People start to wonder, to chase, to feel the absence. Now imagine if you did the same, if you stopped reacting automatically to everything, if you chose silence over impulsive responses, if you opted to withdraw instead of explode. What do you think would happen? Here's the point. When you stop being emotionally, physically, and psychologically available all the time, the world around you goes into crisis. Because people are used to controlling you through your reactions, your impulses, your predictability. But the day you choose to step back, the game changes. And those who thought they knew you realize they know absolutely nothing about you. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." Now think about this. When you become unavailable, who gets desperate? Who gets irritated? Who tries to provoke you just to get a reaction? That reveals more about them than about you. And it especially reveals how much you're still being manipulated without realizing it. You give too much of yourself to please others, to keep the peace, to hold on to people who, deep down, were never really with you. And with every forced yes, every immediate reply, every emotional reaction, you give away a piece of your energy. And at the end of the day, what's left? Exhaustion, frustration, an emptiness you can't explain. Do you know why? Because you're too available for people who don't deserve a single minute of your silence. This message isn't about disconnecting from the world. It's about choosing yourself. It's about learning what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, complete. And that process begins when you understand that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments, that stepping back, when done consciously and not out of fear, is an act of power. So, I ask you, looking into your eyes, how much longer will you be controlled by other people's emotions? How much longer will you react like a puppet every time someone presses on your wounds? Maybe it's time to cut those strings, to withdraw, to become a mystery, because when you stop being available, everything changes. Since childhood, you were taught to always be present, to respond quickly, to be agreeable, to say yes even when you wanted to say no. You were conditioned to believe your worth is tied to your availability. But here's a truth nobody may have told you. This excessive availability isn't a virtue, it's a prison. As long as you believe you must always be emotionally accessible, you'll keep being manipulated, drained, and discarded the moment you're no longer useful. Do you know why? Because being always available makes you predictable, and everything predictable becomes a tool. People start to use you like an emotional emergency button. They push when they need attention, relief, validation, then they put you back on the shelf. But you don't notice. You're trapped in the illusion that if you're always there for others, someone will be there for you. Except the world doesn't work like that. Jung spoke about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted, loved, recognized, and it's that mask that makes you excessively available. You say, it's okay when you're suffocating. You answer messages immediately, even when you're exhausted. You explain yourself, justify yourself, defend yourself, as if you owe the world something. But the truth is, the more you show up on other people's stages, the more you disappear from your own. Being available all the time is a subtle form of self-abandonment. It's seeking approval. It's avoiding rejection. It's trying to control the image others have of you. But that control has a cost, and the cost is your peace. Your vital energy is being spread as if it's infinite, but it's not. It's limited, very limited. The people who want you always available, they don't want you, they want what you offer. Validation, company, distraction, emotional comfort. And when you change, when you set boundaries, when you stop reacting, these same people get irritated. They accuse you. They call you distant, cold, strange. It's not because you've changed, It's because you've stopped being functional for them. And here comes the most brutal truth. The more available you are, the less value you have. What's too abundant becomes an emotional rag. No one respects what doesn't have to be earned. No one values what's always there. Now pause and ask yourself, who really deserves your time? Who deserves your attention, your presence, your silence? But before answering, you need to understand something fundamental. Why do we react so much? Why do we give in so easily? What lies behind this almost automatic urge to please, to justify, to respond? The answer is in what Jung called psychic energy, and that's what we'll talk about next. Because your energy is all you have, and if you don't learn to protect it, someone else will use it against you. Have you ever thought about the projections others place on you and how deeply they bother you? We're now entering a darker territory, silent manipulation. In the next part, we'll explore how opportunist people feed off your energy and how your unavailability completely disarms their games. Get ready to confront those who've been draining you without you even realizing it. You think you're in control. You believe your reactions are conscious choices, but the truth is darker. Most of your emotional responses are programmed, and those who understand this can manipulate you easily. Opportunists don't need to shout, threaten, or force situations. They just press the buttons you've left exposed, and you react every time. Jung called this projection, the mechanism by which people project onto others what they can't face within themselves. But here's the part few notice. While others project onto you, you also become the receptacle for those images. And the more emotionally available you are, the more you become a blank canvas for those projections. You know that friend who only calls you during a crisis? That partner who always needs you to save the day? That person who praises you but only when you're useful? None of that is by accident. They're not relating to you, but to the idea they have of you, to the role you agreed to play. And why do you accept it? Because you're afraid. Afraid of disappointing. Afraid of not being loved. Afraid of being abandoned. The most effective manipulation doesn't happen through yelling. It happens in the silence of guilt. When you feel like you owe someone, that you must be there, that you must help, even if it's destroying you inside. Here's the core truth. The manipulator doesn't need to control you, only to make sure you keep reacting the same way. But when you stop reacting, the game breaks. When you start saying no, responding with silence, withdrawing without explanation, the projections begin to collapse. The mask they placed on you falls off. And this deeply unsettles people, because now they don't know who you are. And worse, they're forced to look at themselves. And not everyone is ready for that. Your unavailability becomes a threat, because it forces others to face their own emptiness. The silence you offer reveals the internal noise they've been avoiding. So then comes the attack, the criticism, the emotional drama. Not because you're wrong, but because you've stopped serving as a convenient mirror. Jung said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." When you step away, when you stop feeding the cycle, the other person's shadow begins to emerge. And that is unbearable to those who've always used you as an escape.
Now I ask you, are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even hated in the name of your inner freedom? Are you willing to pay the price of being who you truly are? If this message touched you, if it resonated with your current life moment, write in the comments, "I choose my peace." Let's see how many are truly ready for this transition. And don't forget, keep watching the next content. It's more important than you imagine. I'll see you there.